What did that say?
Okay, I played the shit out of this game. And I mean, I played the shit out of this game. For those who do know me, I am a grizzled Aion unfettered. I've been a part of the series since it launched in North America, to the point where I was so obsessed with it in high school, I would, be out of school more often than I'd be in at the PvP, to go into the Abyss, farm, whatever. My text tone is still the aggro sound, and that figurine that came with the collector's edition somehow fucking survived three moves. So, knowing what I know about the game and being as entwined with it as I am, I went into it with a significantly large portion of...
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt.
I expect this to be bad, but I'm gonna go out of my way to objectively rate the game for what it is and, break down different portions of what the MMORPG does compared to what an MMORPG is supposed to do. Now keep in mind, this is for the Taiwanese server, not the global launch. That has not happened yet. Now, the reason why I took so long to make this is for two reasons. One, an MMORPG is a marathon, not a sprint. I wanted to make sure I touched the game enough to actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. And, well, the launch has not been the most stable of launches. I wanted to, get into this as soon as I could, but the first week was mired with issues, which we'll talk about in a little bit later. To give the game a fair shake, I played the game for a week without the sub, and then spent the entirety of my subscription duration playing all 28 days. So how bad was it? Yeah, launch was very rough. The verification system broke on the first day. Many players couldn't get in, myself included. Thankfully, I was able to sneak in, but it was something where even though I was able to get in, many weren't. And once we were able to get in past the verification system, we noticed that there was a severe amount of issues with the login servers. We had queues, server disconnects, DDoS attacks, pretty much everything that could have fucking gone wrong did. And because of this, the game has been plagued with a significant amount of emergency maintenances. Now, to their credit, and this is where they get 1 point back, they did try to address the issues as they were happening. Were they successful? Not the best. Not always. Launch was by far one of the most awful experiences I have had with a launch in a long time. However, if you've played NCSoft titles before, this happened in Aion 1, Blade and Soul, Throne and Liberty, all of them. They all had their own issues plaguing the systems. This one just personified all of them at once. Given the issues that this game had and continues to have, it would have seriously benefited from any form of an open beta test phase. A majority of the issues you're going through right now could have been forgiven by me and a lot of the other players if it was a beta test. Immediately launching this as a completed, you can't see me, I'm doing air quotes, product was, well, it was a decision, alright? I'll give you that. Launch, 1 out of 10. Dog shit. Just dog shit. I'm sorry. I can't give you any points here. Dog shit. Performance. This is going to break down how the feel of the game is, how it plays, how it feels to play, and how the performance affects the gameplay. First and foremost, I have significant latency to the server compared to what I would on a global launch. We're talking about 5 times the ping, about 200 on, Taiwan versus about 40 on NA, maybe less. So I know this is going to hamper my performance and overall feel of the game, but putting that aside, the game looks incredible, let's be real here. It is easily one of the better looking MMORPGs to come out. The fidelity of the graphics looks good, the game's pacing is much on the faster side, and all of the systems demand that you have a high frame rate that is stable. I have the following specs for my computer. Now, my system might not be the strongest in the world, but it's certainly no fucking slouch. Well, thanks to the game's lovely nature, All of the overlays that were used in testing for the preview footage, they didn't make it into the actual cuts. They showed on the preview screen and then the game decided to just eat them. So I'm going to break down how the game performs, as well as just leaving real-time footage of the game running while I'm doing generic shit, whether it be PvE, PvP, and everything that you'll see in the background. Let's talk about the 4K performance. On average, I was ranging at about 60 to 80 frames, lows dropping down to 25. While passable by old standards, I'm an old 30 FPS head who understood that back in the day, 60 FPS was a pipe dream. But objectively speaking, for a PvP-based game with the combat flow that we have right now, that frame rate will not suffice, especially when accompanied with other issues that the game has. 1440p performance, however, was a much better story. I averaged about 108 to 136 frames, with lows only down into the 87. That is significantly more playable and allowed me to get through all of the content without any experiences outside of, okay, this is fun. In the game's defense, I know that the additional frame time and latency is putting strain on my CPU. And that may sound weird because you think, oh, game performance usually isn't affected by network stuff. In 99% of the scenarios, you'd be right. Now, in an MMORPG where you have to do calls to other players and pull packets from other systems and have to communicate to a server repeatedly, the system's going to be doing a lot of back and forth, and that 200 ms is going to weigh it down, just bar none. Is it going to drop your frames significantly? No, it's a very slight difference, but there will be noticeable desync. So you may see some delays in character load and character actions, and I'm going to be honest with you, the render distance will become a problem. Outside of cutscenes, it was relatively stable. Anytime the game would try to load a cutscene, the performance would instantaneously go to shit. And I mean, we're talking chops, making the cutscenes honestly unwatchable. The other issue is this game runs an Unreal Engine. And with many Unreal Engine games, they suffer from the devs' inability to compensate for the one-size-fits-all build that the engine is designed to run. With this being said, the game doesn't like being alt-tabbed in any way, shape, or form. This can cause it to crash via fatal error. If too many effects occur at once, this can also cause a fatal error. This game is extremely demanding of your graphics card. Even flagship models such as my 7900 XTX, where even with FSR and DLSS if you have an NVIDIA card, your GPU usage will max out to 100%. Now, that is to be expected. You want your GPU to be running at full hog for something like that to get the performance that you need. So you can ignore this as long as the temps stay within reason. It will perform smoothly. Which, to my surprise, even on lower powered hardware where you will have to compromise some settings with some resolution for performance, the game still runs good. I see people reporting 60 FPS on 3060 cards. On hell, I know a guy using a 2080 Ti and he's playing at 1440p, 60 maxed, just locked. No problems. It's baffling because it's an NCSoft game, but the optimization's pretty fucking good. If your system's struggling or you're getting fucked over by this, just the performance of the game, dude, lossless scaling goes on sale for like $3.50 on Steam. And then if it doesn't work, fucking refund it. Performance, to my surprise, 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 out of 10. It runs way better than I'd ever expect an NCSoft title to. And in the events that it doesn't, it's usually away from the gameplay. And you might be wondering, hey, what about mobile performance? Well, customization. The customization that's in Aion 2. The freedom is just feels Asmodean enough. Fuck it. It's not global. I'll just work with what I got. Time to ask the most important question. What happens if we... Oh, damn. Oh, damn. What about, the next most important part that everybody's gonna care about? Damn!
Hey, where'd you get that?
10 out of 10. Customization allows you to make beauty, beasts, bimbos, and himbos alike. Another nice part about this is the armor within the game is actually gorgeous. And despite this being a free-to-play title, it doesn't suffer from same skin syndrome where everything is slight variations of the same 3 or 4 pieces of armor. Almost each and every armor piece is completely unique from one another, and every single armor piece and costume is completely dyeable with multiple features to it. An example, you can add patterns, material types. The only thing that's stopping this from being an actual perfect 10 out of 10, there is a save and load system that is meant to be able to use to save your character preset. The initial character creation does not allow you to save or apply any looks until you unlock the actual customization menu past the tutorial cutscenes. You should be able to save and load skins on initial character creation instead of forcing them to be behind the paywalled creation. Now, I get why you did it because, that's sweet delicious money, but Damn, but Emmy, what about the Deva lookbook? Yeah, it's a great feature, but it has two very glaring problems. One, you can't apply any of the looks you download that you made yourself to your own account. Oh, and even if you could, you can't edit the looks you get, which means you're stuck with it exactly how it is, defeating the entire purpose of the system. Now, of course, you can bypass this by taking screenshots of your sliders and then pasting them on a new character like you did back in the day. But dog, it's 2025, and let's not fucking pretend that you didn't have this perfected in Aion 1 by the time you got to the end of the game's life. You even had it in Classic. Unfortunately, as much as I want to give you a 10 out of 10 for customization, I have to knock you down to a 9 out of 10 until you fix that shit at least. Immersion and accuracy. The world's feel about right. The names match, Slinks are Slinks, Braxis are Braxis. The looks are pretty faithful to their Aion 1 counterparts. Most of the time it feels like you're just playing a new skin of Aion. The side pieces of the lore will do well enough to help you understand kind of what has happened in the world of Atreya since the last game, but the main story feels extremely detached and does not do a good job of filling you in. Now the music, on the other hand, is one of the things that was done almost perfectly. Our boys at NC Sound did their normal miracle once again, giving us some of the best sounding music and effects in the game, if not the entire genre. This, unfortunately, gets wasted by the poor decisions from other departments, but it definitely feels like we're in the baby beginning of the story and it's building up to a much larger portion, kind of the same way the epilogue did to the main game in the first version of Aion. Now, to fans, it'll be invigorating to see some old beloved characters with a new coat of paint, same for the environment. To the new, it's honestly going to be pretty middle of the road, not great, not awful. The presentation's nice enough, and the side dungeons in the open world do a good job of introducing new players to the lore. And this is, of course, if they choose to read it. Once you're checked out, you'll find yourself mashing F very often to just skip through the dialogue if it's not your cup of tea. Like I said, middle of the road, 5 out of 10. So let's talk about the PvE and the PvP as content. So remember how when the game was in development, people were fucking arguing their heads off? It's a mobile game, it's a PC game, it's both. It is both. Fuck the arguments, it doesn't matter what side you were on. The reality is, the game is out on both mobile and PC, which is great for opening the game up to a lot of new players and a lot of, broad audiences that wouldn't be available on just PC. It now suffers from the same thing that happens to almost every cross-platform game I have tried to play. In attempting to be fun and good as both, they succeed in being neither. And what I mean is, the PvE, while reasonably demanding and fast-paced enough, has a great presentation. It's big, it's grandiose, they look awesome. But the gameplay ends up getting stale very quickly as you move on. The mechanical portions of the fights ultimately fall to the same set of mechanics. Jump over this wave, stack for this mechanic, don't stand on this AoE marker, break the stagger meter. They all present themselves in the exact same way in the fights, which means there may be one unique mechanic, even if it's one of these 4 things, but then the rest of the fight is these homogenized mechanics in the same way, making the PvE loop feel very stale. When you accompany this with the fact that the game is cross-platform, you now have an issue where PC players are always going to be able to play better and will always end up finding themselves bored in these homogenized systems because of the fact that in order for mobile players to keep up in a way that would entertain the PC players, the mobile players now have to rely on automated systems such as auto-dodge or auto-combat to try and keep up with what would entertain the PC players. Which puts you in a situation where you now have PC players who are bored and feel like they're at a disadvantage because the automated systems are just doing all of the work for the mobile players, and the mobile players feeling themselves forced into a situation where they are checked out of the game. The game is playing itself, which means now both sides of the fence are miserable. On the PvP side of it, the nice part about it is PvP does have a much higher skill ceiling from the first game and had serious potential to shine. The active iframe dodging, the frontal guard skills, the ability to actually build and stack into CC resistance as a stat that isn't magic resist and works on everything is awesome. It would have given, a great core set of fundamentals that could have been worked with: spacing, neutrals, what to block, what to dodge. The problem is all of this gets thrown out the fucking window because of the fact that tanks cannot tank, healers cannot heal. PvP, once you get built up, is a complete one-shot fest. And it's not just a one-shot fest, it's a did you evade that one-shot fest. In group systems, where you have like 8v8s or Abyss PvP, there's so much stuff flying around, you're just consistently taking hits. And in the 1v1 scenarios like the arena, which would be really fun, have the experience completely shit on by, okay, first one-shot wins. Gameplay loop has the potential to be an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Somehow NCSoft does a fantastic job of knocking this down to about a 6 out of 10. for no reason other than they undermined their own systems with the numbers they put in place for the systems. Is the game free-to-play friendly? So, to my honest and complete and utter surprise and shock, for the PvE side of it, the game actually boasts one of the better free-to-play experiences I've seen an MMORPG do. Somehow, and again, to my complete and utter fucking shock, they actually nailed it. While you progress slower, the entirety of the game's content is still open to you as a free-to-play player, outside of trading and the marketplace. This puts you in kind of a RuneScape Iron Man situation, Iron Deva. Honestly, if there was a dedicated server for that mode that had trading disabled but had the other benefits of the sub, I could actually see it, kind of taking off as its own game mode. Let's talk about the subscriptions, NCSoft. While you have a very fair and open free-to-play approach to it, if you don't care about PvP. PvP, you're gonna be at a significant disadvantage, but you will get there. I like the concept behind the subs that you have. You have the core subscription, which unlocks trading, and then the secondary subscription that gives you more things like Abyss Time, 2 dungeon loots, for players that would want to no-life the game on multiple characters. It gives your players a cheaper option, sure. The problem is the pricing on the subs by themselves do not offer enough to justify how much you would end up paying if you got both. You gotta do one of two things. You either gotta dial that back a little bit, even if it's like $4 or $5 less, or, hear me out on this, to give the sub more inherent value, even if you keep the character creation locked behind, the 600 kuna cost. At least let players dye their shit if they have the sub. That would justify it to a lot of players, especially on the mobile platform that you like to cater to so much, because vanity is how you sell stuff to them. No offense.
Get up! You can do it!
Okay, yes, I know. We need to talk about the pay to win. I will give NCSoft a dime, a drop, a grain of sand of credit, because they didn't include any direct way to go full pay to win. You can't buy enchantment stones out of the store. Pretty much anything that will let you get ahead. You can't just go and buy crafting materials outside of things that are in the general shops. You get the convenience of being able to buy it out of that store, but it's no different than going to the vendor in the game. So they sold a bit of convenience with it. Now, there are some things that you can get in there. For example, there's some energy you can purchase, but those are limited to 7 times. Everybody that has access to it only gets so many. It's not where the issue is. The issue is players went, oh, we can exchange Kina for Kuna and vice versa. I'm gonna get a shitload of Kuna by all of the Kina that goes up, which then created a power vacuum that then NCSoft went back and realized, oh shit, that wasn't supposed to happen, but we already made our money off of it, so fuck it. Fix parts of it like the PvP exploits, but in doing so we completely destroyed rifting and unbalanced the PvP for seasons to come. Honestly, if you're used to NCSoft stuff, this is pretty par for the course, so yeah, I can kind of put that on the side because of that. The thing that I can't put on the side is the item level system that is included in the game. This is the most infuriating part about the gameplay system right now. It throws everything on its head. It matters too little in PvE and then too much in PvP. You get 60% scaling based on item level in PvP. In PvE, the item level's calculated so fucking strangely that when you look at the item level, it doesn't give you an accurate representation of the player's power. There are Deva boards that I mentioned earlier. Each of those tiles gives you anywhere from 1 to 4. Some of those tiles give you 2.5% PvE attack, 2.5% damage, 5% multi-hit. But then you equip something like a default rune that's at +0. It gives 0.5% PvE attack and 1% attack speed. And it gives 80? It's giving me a fraction of the stats. How the fuck does that work? The Arcana cards give you 400 and all it does is add a little bit to your skill levels? You could have 2 players that are the same item level, and because one of them has Arcanas but the other one has the Deva board, the Deva board player at that same item level is gonna do infinitely better.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck. Oh my.
It destroys everything. It would have been better if we couldn't see it, because it creates a false dichotomy in PvE that it scales in PvP at all. What's the point of PvP defense and attack if you're gonna have item level superseded by a significant amount, almost twice as much? The item level is the worst part of the game. Just fucking remove it. It has no place in the game. It doesn't work, and it is ruining both the PvE and the PvP experience for two entirely separate reasons. While the game does have the potential to be an 8 out of 10, the glaring flaws and issues that currently plague the systems in the game will unfortunately have NCSoft realizing is going to be a very strong launch that will quickly fizzle out, similar to their other titles. I want this game to succeed. I like it, but I need to call a spade here. This ain't it, Chief. Not in its current state. There are too many impossible to ignore issues that mire the overall fun and feel of the game.
Even make it to live servers. How? How did they think that was okay to even put it in the game? I'm so sick of this fucking company. The trash! Fix the game! It sucks playing the shit! And I'm fucking addicted! So I can't